Everyone takes their seat. DM dims lights. Pause. Hey you're finally awake. You're trying to cross the border, right? Walked right into that Imperial ambush, same as us, and that thief over there. F you, Todd. Hey, what's up everybody, I'm SkyDieRay and welcome to another episode of DnDGreentext. In this episode, among other stories, we'll see an amazing fantasy setting, the feasibility of giant rideable spiders, as well as a story of how a group of new players managed to create their own final boss. As always, enjoy the video! What makes your character's weapon unique? Blade of the Dragonkin. Longsword. Deals 1d8, one hand, or 1d10, two hand. If wielded by a humanoid creature with draconic ancestry, the blade gains 1d6 damage of said ancestry. Ancestry damage increases by 1d6 every 4 levels of the wielder. It's a pretty cool weapon. Be new DM years ago. Have new players. Learning as we go. Decide I'll take a load off of everyone's back and give them a everything but killing NPC. Does the cooking, shopping, and load bearing for the party. Basically a dude that sits outside of a dungeon in a carriage for the players to come back to and rest. But he favors his own life above the carriage. As we are all learning the game, I add a few new things. Bandits will attempt to raid the carriage and the NPC will need to defend it or run. Murder hobos love their loot, so they equip NPC with best shit they can get. Every once in a while, especially when being chased, one of the carriage's wheels will break or something, so the party needs to protect NPC while he fixes it. Had a few almost total restarts because of carriage being ransacked and the NPC retreating. After a really long time out of game, players ask, "Where's the final boss?" You've already met him, and he's particularly interested in your carriage. Party buffs the shit out of NPC again. Basically unkillable. Almost impossible for run-of-the-mill bandits to raid now. Party is happy. They go to another dungeon to clear out undead. When they come back, the carriage is gone, with clear signs of a struggle. Think the NPC was killed. They follow the tracks. A ton of encounters and mini-bosses later, they make it to a bandit camp. They proceed to raffle stomp all of the bandits they can when they see their NPC sitting on a throne. NPC was the final boss after all this time. The party made their own final boss. Everyone wanted to be mad at me for how hard final fight was, but couldn't because they brought this on themselves. Forgot to mention, the carriage being ransacked was done by him and he would purposefully take forever fixing the carriage just to make it harder on the party. A realistic female warrior approaches. What do? Monk. I bow to her as a sign of respect. Fighter. I raise my sword in her honor. Barbarian. I challenge her to a duel to test her mettle. Bard. I yell, "Hey love, mind letting me have a go at Yagash?" Campaign that lasts decades in-game. Player has a dog. Apply our system's aging rules to the dog and every other character that was old enough. Am I that GM? He looked pretty upset when I told him that his dog had died. But if I hadn't done that, then the dog would be 30 years old by now, which would strain disbelief. Not giving the player an opportunity to turn their dog into a leech. Not making sure they hide its phylactery in a secure place so it can rejab if there's a TPK. Not using the leech dog as a lassie type NPC who recruits the new characters whenever the old party fails and dies. Why meet in a tavern when a zombie dog is trying to tell you a MacGuffin is stuck in a well? So last night's session derailed hard. Players are at this pirate port at the edge of civilization, very Pirates of the Caribbean inspired. Made a friend in the form of a particular tavern keeper, pumping her for information concerning the notable inhabitants of the town. Getting to one guy who runs the bathhouse, which is a bathhouse/brothel, and she says, "I suppose he's a nice enough fellow for a pimp." Instant confusion, that JPEG. You see, despite all of my players being between the ages of 27 to 32, none of them knew what a pimp was. At first, I thought this was some weird joke, you know? But no, none of them recognized the term, thought it was a game-specific one at first, and were flabbergasted when I showed them the Wiktionary article. Then it diverted into asking why prostitutes even need a pimp, which in turn sparked amateur socio-economic exposition of the whoring market. By the time all that was done, we'd wasted a good chunk of the time we had and it was impossible to get anyone to be serious again. I'm still not entirely sure how that happened. Has anyone ever faced something similar? How do you regain momentum after something derails like that in the future? Just never had something like that happen before. There's that one story about a player who was killed by a gazebo. GM was describing stuff and mentioned the gazebo. One player had never heard the term and assumed it was a monster of some sort and kept whacking it with his sword. Player starts to get aggravated since he can't kill it, cause it's a**ing gazebo. Players are getting romantic with NPCs again, and I have to play along and be a good girl. Don't enable them, Anon. Just rip out their heart, throw it to the ground, and stomp on it. It'll be ages before they try to love again. Gonna bump this question again. TLDR, how can I use the concepts of fate in my upcoming Viking campaign? Is this like railroading, but it's random? Fantasy setting. All of the races are anthropomorphic animals. No humans. Cats rule over the desert races. While there are very few in number, they make for powerful wizards and master politicians. Cats are born into a life of luxury, but are expected to achieve greatness. Failure to reach these expectations, and they are branded and cast out in the dunes. Egyptian aesthetic. Dogs exist everywhere and have no true home state. They are excellent warriors but extremely stubborn and often fight among themselves. What makes them truly unique is their mental inability to lie. Never in the history of the world has there been a successful dog politician. Chameleons possess the ability to shapeshift to any other race. They are known conspirators and schemers and make for excellent assassins. They exist nowhere and everywhere. Their pact with the cats is a tenuous one. Stags control the plains. Like the dogs, they are excellent warriors and value honor and nobility. Nordic aesthetic. Their magic comes from the sky. Woodlands are contested between owls and an alliance of mice, ferrets and raccoons. Owls, flightless, are the youngest race and the most primitive. Savage nocturnal warriors that wield spears and are the only known users of blood magic. Owl encampments are often decorated with the flayed skin of their enemies. Mice are shorter in stature and rely on discipline and tactics rather than brute strength. They make up the bulk of the army. Ferrets are expert strategists, and raccoons act as scouts and spies. Together, they make a surprisingly formidable threat. Elephants are nomadic mystics and lore keepers. Their records predate all others and are the most prized possessions. It is said that some of the records even cover events that haven't happened yet. Well, that was an amazing setting. DM wants to halve the size of the fireball spell as a nerf. Explain that the huge size is more of a drawback than an advantage. He agrees. Next session, our wizard throws a fireball on the enemy and hits 3 of our PCs with it. My lawful evil character tells the wizard that if that happens again, he will be considered an enemy. The guy gets upset because we did win the fight and he dealt the most damage. Why do people think combat is some sort of competition who can deal the most damage or who can act as if they're the protagonist who saves the day? Giant jumping spiders as mounts. How feasible is this? Imagine the distance. Be me, your average bandit leader. Be chillin' with my bandit crew. Find out the local town guard has put out a bounty on us for our usual shit. We laugh it off because no one would have the stones to fight us. A few days later, we hear about a group of lawful stupids who took up on the job of taking us out. There are 4 of them. We have up to 20 guys. Bring it on that JPEG. A couple hours pass and we hear a commotion outside the base. I start hearing my men screaming. I get worried, so I prepare for battle. I can hear my men getting slaughtered as I'm grabbing my sword. I hear the door open with a crash. I turn to look and what I see is horrifying. I see the 4 adventurers, all riding giant spiders. What the f***.exe? All of them are covered in blood and viscera. One is eating the bottom half of Jeff. Another has Mike's disembodied head jammed on one of its fangs. Behind them, I can see the whole room covered with webbing and body parts. I'm f***ed that gif. I throw down my sword and try to surrender. Before I can open my mouth, one of the spiders pounces on me and jams one of its fangs into my chest. The poison eventually kills me a couple of minutes later. Before I die, one question crosses my mind. Where the f*** did they get giant rideable spiders? Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did and subscribe for more. Leave a dislike if you didn't and let me know. Follow me on Twitch, there's a link below. Join the Discord server to share your stories or read other people's stories. There's links for everything below. And yeah, thanks again for watching and I'll see you next time. Have a great day, bye.